This changes everything for the Milwaukee Bucks as after weeks and weeks of waiting, Khris Middleton is making his debut this Friday night in a huge game. We're going to break down that, discuss the new injury updates, as well as a couple of other things that have unlocked the Milwaukee Bucks this season, specifically surrounding Giannis Antetokounmpo. So stay tuned for all that in this episode. But before we get into it all, quick reminder, if you're a part of the 80% who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Bucks content. We're on the road to 2,000 subscribers. If you can help us towards that goal, it would mean the world to myself. And without further ado, there's a lot to go over today. Now, obviously, the Milwaukee Bucks are coming off of a brutal loss yesterday against the Atlanta Hawks. We'll dive into that game a little bit because I didn't have a post game for you, but there wasn't too many positives to take from that game. I mean, we saw AJ Green struggle, 2 for 11 from 3, and we saw Giannis score 31 points on 26 free throw attempts, which we'll get into later. But let's just start with this. Khris Middleton will make his season debut Friday night at Boston. The Bucks forward was sidelined at the beginning of the season due to multiple ankle surgery. So it is finally happening where Khris Middleton is making his much anticipated debut this season. And this, finally, we can say changes everything for the Milwaukee Bucks. Because as you look at their team going forward and you look into everything now, the Bucks are set to have a very solid starting lineup. We're going to dive into all that, but at the very least, Khris Middleton finally is making his debut. And as you look into what this means for the Bucks going forward, so for one, I thought they were going to wait till maybe the game after the Celtics, not the best team in the East, the best team in the NBA, for him to make his debut. But clearly he's healthy, clearly he's ready to go, and he is going to be a crucial and critical and integral part even of this team going forward because of the way that their lineup is kind of shaped out. And as you start to look at their depth chart and their lineup, we're finally going to see the starting lineup that we've seen in this depth chart since I've been making the videos earlier on in the offseason and as the preseason and summer league was underway. Dame, Khris Middleton, Taurean Prince, Giannis, and Brook Lopez. That is what I presume the starting lineup to be on tomorrow night's game against the Boston Celtics. So I think that's what's going to happen. But as you look at the bench now, obviously that starting lineup is very good. We're seeing Giannis, we're seeing Dame start to really play well together. And if you add Khris Middleton in it, a 15-point per game scorer, but someone ultimately who can play off the ball, hit spot up threes, but also be a very solid creator on the ball to help alleviate some of the pressure from Giannis, like we've seen him do in years past before Giannis had a superstar in Dame alongside of him. I think it's going to unlock this team a lot. And you think about Taurean Prince, he's been phenomenal this season. You think about Giannis, been phenomenal. Brook Lopez starting to play really well. Like, this starting lineup is one of the best in the league and can go up against every other team's starting lineup. The only issue is defensively, especially in when you're looking at the guards, the point guards and shooting guards here, it's going to be tough for the Bucks to guard opposing teams' guards. It's as simple as that. And Dame and Khris Middleton are not great. They're not great defenders whatsoever. And this is also a very big lineup. You have Taurean Prince playing the 3, and you have Khris Middleton playing the 2, which is certainly intriguing to say the least. Defense might be a problem, but that is why off the bench now, because of the absence of Khris Middleton, I saw some people saying that Khris Middleton being out was a blessing in disguise because now they had to see guys like AJ Green, Andre Jackson Jr., who's been in the starting lineup the whole year. So now you have Ajax coming off the bench, you have Gary Trent Jr. coming off the bench, and you have AJ Green. Those are 3 very solid guards who have been playing well, shooting the ball well, really good defenders. All 3 of those guys have been defending great this season. So that's their bench is going to be great, and I think that they can factor in the fact that Khris Middleton's probably not going to play a ton of minutes, especially fresh coming off of surgery, and I'm also not entirely sure if he's going to be starting. You would assume if they waited this long, he is going to be the starter. But if not, they could still rock the starting lineup of course, Dame, Ajax, Taurean, Giannis, and Brook, and then have Khris Middleton come off the bench. But at the end of the day, the end goal here is to have him start. And this lineup looks very good, especially offensively. And then off the bench, you have Ajax, you have Gary Trent Jr., Bobby Portis, and AJ Green. That is 4 guys that you can really rely on off of the bench to give you great defense aside from Bobby Portis, and great 3-point shooting. So it's super exciting. And as you look at what it means now, as you look at the schedule ahead, again, they play the Celtics tomorrow, and then they play the Brooklyn Nets, the Orlando Magic. So I thought they were going to wait until the Brooklyn Nets game on Sunday, but they're going to give them a shot against the Celtics. And hopefully, as they continue to play a lot of Eastern Conference opponents, they start to make up some more ground in the Eastern Conference. Losing the Hawks yesterday was a bit of a heartbreaker, and we'll dive into that game a little bit later. But at the end of the day, this starting lineup, that we finally get to see what it looks like this season after, of course, and this gave time for Dame and Giannis to kind of get some chemistry going because we know how well they've been playing. They've won 9 of their last 11 games. So they're playing very well. They are coming off of a loss. They now get a much-needed insertion of offense into the starting lineup, something you haven't been getting at all from Ajax, even though, and despite his great play, defensively, facilitating, rebounding. You're getting scoring right now. You have great scoring from Dame, Khris Middleton. Everybody on this lineup can score. And of course, you have Taurean Prince, who is the perfect 3-and-D complement role player on this team. So I'm liking it. It's very exciting, and it's going to be interesting going forward. But something else I want to touch on is Giannis' mid-range game, because we've been seeing it. We saw it yesterday against the Hawks, obviously in the loss, but we've been seeing it over their big 8 wins in 9 wins in 11 games. He's made 39 mid-range jumpers last season. That's what he did last season in 73 games. And this season, through not that many games, he already has 40 in 16 games. And I saw a tweet here from a post on the Reddit saying, it's so refreshing to see. For a while there, I was just yelling at my stream for him to take a step or two inside the line. He was always just a little short on his threes, and the idea that he needed a three-point shot was so dumb. Literally developing any type of shot benefits him and the rest of the team so much. It's insane. So it's interesting, and I don't think it's I don't think it's dumb, to insinuate that Giannis should shoot more threes and should get better at shooting threes. I don't think that is the case by any means, but I do think that by Giannis Antetokounmpo being a much better mid-range shooter, it completely unlocks his game. And we saw yesterday again, 31, 11, and 5. The bench struggled. The reason they lost the game yesterday was the bench. But as you look at the total mid-range field goal attempts during the regular season, Giannis is third in the NBA in middies attempted, which is absolutely absurd. And he's shooting a good clip too. He's shooting 48.1% with 79 middies attempted. Of course, DeRozan's always going to lead that category. Ingram following close behind, kind of. Not really, though. Ingram is almost, he's like near double, like 40% higher than anybody else here, 30% higher. So as you look at how Giannis' game is developing, and I mentioned this in other videos, like Giannis is finally starting to learn how to play alongside a star, how to create for himself. Free throw shooting is still a huge issue, but he's shooting a ton more middies, and a lot of his threes we saw in previous years were short. So if you take a step in, you'll hit him more. And now he's almost shooting 50% from the mid-range, shooting a ton of them, like a lot of them. He's already surpassed in 16 games versus 73 games. So like a fourth of the games. And a quarter of the games, he's already shot more middies than he did the entirety of last season. And what that means going forward is that if he can continue to hit these pull-up middies, and we remember that game-winning shot that he attempted to hit or maybe it was game time, a week or two ago, it was a pull-up midi, and people were saying, hey, that's a bad shot. But it's not the way that Giannis has been playing this year. He's been playing really well. He's been scoring the ball great from the mid-range, and ultimately he's shooting 48.1%. The stats back it up, and it is refreshing to see him actually improve in that way. The only other thing he needs to improve on is free throw shooting. He went an abysmal 15 for 26 yesterday, and if he would have hit his free throws, the Bucks would have won the game. But you can't blame it all on him. Brook Lopez had a rough game. You saw guys like AJ Green shot a lot of threes. He went 2 for 11, missed a ton of them. If he hits the threes, the Bucks win. If Giannis hits the free throws, the Bucks win. So that's why I'm not too discouraged by their loss in yesterday night's game, but I am encouraged about Khris Middleton coming back and playing the Boston Celtics tomorrow. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on this news. Are you excited to see him? What do you think the starting lineup will be? Let me know. See you later.